Hello, everyone. We've got a lot to talk about today. A lot of fun things, a lot of interesting things happening. Pete, why don't we get started with some podcast stuff?
Keep it a little bit lighter while we wait for people to sign in and join on to the live. Me and Heather have been doing a lot of prep work and sort of learning how to actually do podcasts because we both have our own podcasts that we're doing in addition to these live videos that Heather turns into podcasts telling her story. Heather's podcast, Disrupt the Corrupt, is going to start recording episodes this week or next week. And
why does that deadline keep getting pushed? What are we doing?
All kinds of stuff. The court stuff keeps getting, pushed. We're both taking classes, so it's just life gets in the way and has pushed it back a little bit. And we want to make sure we can interview, at least in the first couple interviews, some prominent folks. Heather has already talked with a couple folks that are going to be her first couple interviews. But that's the Disrupt the Corrupt podcast that Heather's going to be hosting, and that's going to basically share other stories of other survivors of domestic violence and survivors of the family court system. My podcast is a little bit different in that my podcast is going to focus on telling the stories of those of us like myself who are behind the scenes supporting our partners and spouses as they go through this crazy world of family court. So we're gonna get started recording those soon. I've been able to get us some really nice equipment. So we actually have a separate loft room that's upstairs there that we've turned into our podcast studio. So we've just been, the equipment has come in this week, really over the last couple weeks, little pieces of it have come in, but got the last couple pieces this week. And so we're looking forward to doing some really cool stuff between, having like a video switcher to be able to, add different scenes and do screen captures and everything, even when we're doing Facebook Lives, to the actual podcast audio equipment. So we have a studio set up there with a couple recording podcast microphones on boom arms, a Rodecaster podcast recorder, which is the audio interface switchboard.
So we're kind of making it so that we're in more of like a podcast studio. We're not sitting on the couch squished together. We're just trying to make it look a little nicer and more easier to view than watching us constantly squished together on a couch.
We also, in our podcast studio up there, we're going to have the ability to, do interviews with other people via Zoom.
In person,
or even if we were just doing individual by ourselves, it can be set up. We're going to have it set up to be doing a few different things. It's sort of set up now, but we've got a couple finishing tweaks we want to do to it. But that's where we're going to start hosting our regular podcasts. So we're looking forward to that.
So, update on what's been happening with my family court case here in Florida, Circuit 7. So, I originally had a initial brief due June 20th. So, we're now August 12th. So, my initial brief for my first notice of appeal that I filed back on April 11th was due June 20th. And about 5 days before that due date, Florida District 5 Court of Appeals consolidated two cases that I actually told them not to consolidate. So I had filed a notice of appeal on my second motion to disqualify Judge Sandra C. Upchurch in Florida Circuit 7 because it's become abundantly clear that she is working for the Serlick family. And that seems to be a problem across this entire nation, that these judges are being bribed, bought off, whatever, and they are violating other humans' rights because of bias, which is illegal. So when I filed my motion to disqualify Judge Sandra Upchurch, and she was able, I don't know how this is legal, but able to deny her own motion and disqualify herself. So I turned around and filed a notice of appeal. And that triggered a second case in District 5 for appeals. And so that case number it ended in 1442. So 5D20251442. District 5 had sent me an order asking me if I wanted to consolidate that with the first one that was for my motion to modify, motion for temporary time sharing, etc. So I responded back saying, no, I do not want these consolidated. I want the record on appeal to travel together, but I want them to have separate cases. And that was because I did not want to bog down my appellant case that had to do with my motion to modify child support, motion to modify the parental agreement, and then motion for temporary timeshare with the motion to disqualify this judge. I wanted them to be two separate topics. And 5 days, and I'm starting to truly feel like this was intentional, about 5 days before my initial brief was due on June 20th, they consolidated. And then all of a sudden, I got this order saying that the tolling had restarted and the next due date would be July 17th. So they literally pushed it an entire month because they consolidated my two cases. So let that be a warning to you guys. If you have more than one appellant case going, if they consolidate those appellant cases, it starts the toll all over again, which in my case, I don't want to happen because that is literally how we've ended up in 5 years of this crap. Kick the can down the road, ignore Heather's motions, kick the can down the road. And so basically they're trying to get all of my children to age out. So I've lost any and all contact with them. And we're now in 5 years of this crap. And I'm at the point where I'm done with all of it. So my new appellant initial brief due date was July 17th. I'm finishing up my appellant brief. I'm working on my brief and everything. And then I happen to notice several of the motions that I had been very specific in my directions to the clerk, DIN number and title number, those were missing. They were missing. There were 3 motions, very important motions, including the motion to disqualify Judge Sandra Upchurch that triggered case number 1442. That was mysteriously left out. So I filed a motion to supplement. And when I filed that motion to supplement, it triggered District 5 to give me another order. And they called me out on one of the things I did wrong, and now I know not to do this again. We're all still learning, right? We're learning as we go. They force us into this, they force us to learn, so we're learning. So July 24th, I get an order saying, upon order of the court, upon consideration that appellant's initial brief filed July 17th, 2025, and the second initial brief also filed July 17th, 2025, the latter of which was filed without leave of court, failed to comply with Florida Rule of Appellate Procedure, and the initial briefs are stricken without prejudice. It is further ordered. Now let me explain this. I had indeed filed 2 initial briefs because on the second one, I recognized that there was a technical issue. So I fixed that technical issue and refiled it. And now they're slapping my hands.
Before the deadline. And we did try to check the rules. And what we were coming up with was as long as it was filed before the deadline, it would just, the most recent filing would count as the official filing.
Exactly. So we looked into
so
it.
We didn't need leave of the court, which is permission.
Right. We looked into it. It did not appear we needed to get leave of court, but apparently we did because I got slapped. And then it says, ordered that appellant's motion to supplement, filed July 16th, so that was the day before the due date, is granted, and a supplemental record on appeal shall be transmitted to this court by August 11th, and the appellant's amended initial brief, that complies with Rule 9.045 by containing a signed certificate of compliance that indicates compliance with Rule 9.045 shall be served within 20 days of the supplemental record of appeal.
So now, just to be clear, Heather's actual initial brief did include all of this. What it didn't include is signing individually the certificate, and it wasn't apparently in the right spot. So she signed the filing as a whole.
Yeah.
But
so here's my
hyper-technical.
Here's my first brief that was filed on time, but they struck it from the record because of those issues I stated. And so that kicked the can down the road further to August. So yes, they did actually include the supplemental record on appeal yesterday. So my appellant's amended initial brief was refiled yesterday. I had it ready to go. I was just waiting on that supplemental record and that I could go in and edit. And then what they're talking about that I didn't comply with, I want to show you guys this because I have a feeling this might trip up a lot of people, and I want people to recognize that this could cause them to get it denied or stricken from the record. So in Florida District 5, at least, they require a certificate of service, like everywhere, and then they require a certificate of compliance. And it needs to say this brief is prepared in Arial 14-point font and contains, and then the words, and it has to be less than 13,000. What they're complaining about is that on the first initial brief, I did not actually sign the certificate of compliance. It didn't have a signature underneath it. So now it does. It has an e-signature. So that amended initial brief was filed yesterday afternoon. So that is happening in District 5 Court of Appeals.
The reason it was filed yesterday afternoon was because Circuit 7 finally sent over and it got entered into the record at
So the moment that
District 5.
supplemental record showed up, I had already had the index they had mailed to me, so I was able to edit the amended initial brief and have it just completely ready to go and ready to e-file the moment I saw in my docket that supplemental record appeared. So that is done and over with. It was accepted, so there shouldn't be any issues with it. So now the ball's in Justin's court. So that's what's going on with the appeals. I still have a writ of prohibition just sitting in District 5 Court of Appeals, and that's to prohibit Florida Circuit 7 from enforcing this void, foreign, unregistered order from Illinois.
And when we looked up how much time that can take, it can potentially take upwards of 180 days, which is like 6 months, for them to even decide whether or not they're going to, make any decisions on it.
Yeah, because they're still trying to go after my driver's license on this 3-page void order from Illinois. They're still trying to go after it. Speaking of Illinois, a lot of you are aware that I had a hearing this morning in Illinois Circuit 19 because you were court watching or attempted to court watch. So let's talk about Illinois. So first, I'm going to show you all of my motions. So we've got the certificate of petition to vacate, which you have to do when you're motioning to vacate or modify a previous judgment. Then we have notice of court date for motion. So that was today's court date. And then we have my notice of appearance. All of this has to be filed into your docket.
Speaking of notice of appearance, interesting thing today, and we honestly almost expected it because this has happened before.
This happened in 2020. This is how my entire drama saga started.
No prior notice. The first time Heather realized Justin has retained counsel again was when Heather signed into the Zoom and saw an attorney indicate in his signature or his name on the Zoom that he was there to represent on this case. Heather called him out for not having filed an appearance and not having served her with an appearance.
I did mine. I have my appearance. Where's Justin's?
This attorney claimed he had filed, he claimed he was engaged yesterday in this case by Justin, and he claimed he filed an appearance yesterday. Of course, nothing had shown in the docket. During the Zoom, everything got sort of put on hold. Apparently the court clerks did.
Well, let's get into that step by step. Let's go step by step. So just so you guys can see, because in my previous podcast episodes, we said that we were working on something big, but we did not want to talk about it yet because I had not served Justin Serlick with this yet. But to give you an idea, this is my petition, all of it. Every single yellow you see there, that's an exhibit. That's evidence. So this is 364 pages, guys. This is my foundation for my federal 42 USC 1983, 1985, and 1986 complaints in U.S. District Court in Chicagoland to go after all these bad actors that kidnapped my children in 2020, trafficked them for over a year, and then dumped them with the non-custodial abusive, on the record abusive, in police reports abusive parent that has been hiding them from me as of tomorrow 4 years. 4 years. My children, with a confirmed email, were dropped off down here in Port Orange, Florida, August 13th of 2021. Today is August 12th of 2025. I have lost all contact with my 4 children since that occurred. So obviously, this is a big deal. This is a very big deal. So the title of this, and of course this will all be in a link through a Google Doc on the YouTube and in the podcast episode. It is titled Verified Petition for Relief from Void Judgment and for Declaratory Relief based on lack of jurisdiction and due process violations under 735 ILCS 5/2-1401F. That is a lot. But that statute in particular, that's 735 ILCS 5/2-1401F, is a specific Illinois constitutional law that allows someone to go after a void order.
At any time.
At any time. A void order. If Illinois at any point signed a void order, this specific statute allows someone to go after it, to challenge it. And that is exactly what this entire massive document is. It's challenging the validity of that 3-page Illinois order that was signed April 27, 2022, that Justin Serlick is hiding my children behind. And when I say hiding, I mean full-on hiding. He has passed out that 3-page order to Volusia County Schools, and Volusia County Schools is at the point where they're not even allowing me to go on the property to give my son or my daughter something for lunch. I can't go to Palm Terrace Elementary School to see Charles Serlick. I can't go to Campbell Middle School to see Bianca Serlick, to give them something for lunch, to communicate with them, whatever. Volusia County Schools is acting as an enforcer of an illegal, foreign, unregistered order here in Florida. And they absolutely will be federally sued by me. And here's the other thing. They're already in a ton of trouble. There is a ton of news articles going around about a NDA that Volusia County Schools is having their administrators sign to block finances to the public.
So for those of you that are not in Florida, let me just let you know, Florida has a very broad, probably one of the most broad public information laws in the country. It's called the Florida Sunshine Law. Basically, it mandates all public records are fully accessible to the public. All public meetings and hearings have to be open to the public. You can't have 2 city council members discussing council business together over lunch if it's not open to the public.
No.
And on the record. So for the Volusia County Schools, to send out or demand their administrators file non-disclosure agreements to prevent the administrators from discussing with anybody the
finances of a public school,
public school district, and there was a number of other things. It's just how it's not just being run through the ringer by attorneys left and right yet. I don't know, but it's kind of new in the last week or so.
The NDA with the Volusia County Schools, aka VCS, just started popping up on news articles last week. So they're already under fire. So that's going to absolutely be my next step, is going after Volusia County Schools.
It was also just announced that the Volusia County School Board is settling a lawsuit
from 2 years ago. Ironically, at one of the schools where Heather had some personal experience at. New Smyrna Beach Middle School, where I worked last year, and quickly booked it out of there after 10 days of being verbally abused by the principal and all the students.
Right.
So let's get back to the Illinois situation.
Squirrel.
So the hearing was scheduled. I scheduled it. I actually scheduled it. I call the clerk's office. I say, I need a court date. They give me a court date. Do you want it in person or Zoom? I say Zoom because I'm in Florida. They give me the court date, and then you are responsible for filling out, once you get that court date, filling out the notice of court date and then sending it to the other party. Okay? So I scheduled this court date for myself for this petition I spent a lot of time writing up. And so we log in today. A lot of you know that I put out events. I'm spamming it, court watchers, domestic violence advocates. Let's get some court watchers on. Let's get some eyes on it. And wouldn't you know, so this is how it happened. Sign in at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Central Time, and I happen to notice that there is an attorney that put in the Zoom chat, ready for Bendl / Serlick. Like, that's interesting. He doesn't have a notice of appearance. I had to have a notice of appearance. Where's his notice of appearance? I have no clue who this guy is. So start researching him. Come to find out, he is a new attorney at the original law firm that triggered all this chaos in 2022.
And it doesn't appear the original attorneys are with that firm anymore.
Yeah, I don't care about that, but I see this attorney just showing up saying, ready on Bendl Serlick, and I'm like, that's interesting. So I say in the Zoom chat, and if you go to my Facebook, you can see all the screenshots. So I say in the Zoom chat, I'm ready, but I want to make it known that there is no appearance for this attorney. I've never seen his name before, never received a notification that he is representing Justin. Where the hell did he come from? So then I go to messaging this attorney privately on the Zoom chat, and I'm like, where's your notice of appearance, sir? There's nothing in my docket, notice of appearance. You can't talk. Justin Serlick's not here, and you can't talk. So we wait about 40 minutes. I got a lot of my court watchers in there, but then a lot of them started getting kicked because they did not have their name and my case number. So in the welcome screen, Illinois Circuit 19 has this screen that says you must have your full name and then the case number for who you're there for. So a lot of them were private messaging me saying I got kicked, and I said, make sure you put your name and my case number. Here's my case number. Try to rejoin. And then they're messaging me saying we can't get back in even though we updated the name. I'm like, well, that's interesting. I'm like, okay, well, this is I see how this is going to play out. So they finally call me, and then I unmute myself and I make the comment immediately. There's no appearance for Mr. I don't know his name because he's never come to me before. But so this Will. Do you remember his last name?
Tiberius or something. Tiberius.
Yeah. Like it's in the Zoom chat. I should have written it down so I could say it on this live. But Will something at Katz, Goldstein, and Warren in Bannockburn, Illinois. Now, this is the exact same law firm that was playing these manipulation games in Illinois in 2020, 21, and 22. So they stuck with the same law firm, so they're obviously trying to cover their tracks from what they did to my children and I 5 years ago. So we get called, and I point out that he doesn't have a notice of appearance. And the judge immediately starts acting strange. Now, at this point, I still had court watchers. There were still other cases being called. So nothing was really out of whack yet. But you could tell she was confused on things, and she kept looking away. She kept looking down as I'm speaking. And then she says, I'm going to pass the case. What the hell does that mean, pass the case? And so I ask her, I'm like, pass it to whom? And she's like, I'm going to deal with your case at the very end. I'm like, here we go. This is exactly what Illinois Circuit 19 did to me all of 2020, all of 2021, and for a portion of 2022. They purposely kept me out of the public eye, made sure all the other people in the docket were done and over with. So I was isolated and secluded at the end of the Zoom, so everyone went bye-bye, and no one was able to witness what was happening. No attorneys were present, no citizens of Lake County, Illinois were present. No one was witnessing what they were doing to my children and I. And here we are all over again with a brand new judge, Judge Melius, doing it to me also. Passing my case to the very end, so all the public and all the other attorneys are gone from the Zoom. Now, the Zoom is on Illinois Circuit 19's website, so it's not like it's a special Zoom. You go on their website, you click on digital record or digital hearings, and then you find the day, you find your judge, and there's a Zoom info for the whole population to see.
Yeah, it was an open call session with the judge today.
So then, one by one, as she's working through the other cases, because she passed me to the very end, I'm seeing all of my court watchers being swatted out the door. One by one. They're dropping like flies in the Zoom. And it was kind of towards the end, I recognized two names that were still in there that had managed to make it to the very end. And then you can actually hear a pause, and then you see a whole bunch of people kicked out all at the same time in the Zoom. And then all of a sudden the Zoom starts recording. You hear recording in progress. So she starts recording just my case. All the other public people are gone. All the other attorneys are gone. My court watchers are now gone. And then she turns on recording for me only. I get this special privilege of a Zoom digital recording with Judge Melius today.
But we're pretty sure when Heather's already requested the actual official recording, we're pretty sure they're going to come back and say, oh, it wasn't recorded.
Exactly.
Because they can do that.
Exactly. So she calls my case back up, and I'm trying to explain to her what this petition is for and why it's being done. She kept muting me. Another thing they kept doing to me 5 years ago.
Not only that, she would ask you a question, and then as you're trying to answer her question, she would say, don't interrupt me.
Yep. And this is the same crap that was happening to me in June when I was trying to do a fee waiver to get a certified copy of my Illinois docket for my Florida appellant case. So same behaviors, different judge. It is so damn clear that these associate judges are being told how to treat me. Another thing I want to point out, and some of the court watchers that didn't get swatted out of the Zoom right away happened to start noticing this. Her entire demeanor and tone changed the moment she started talking to me. And the moment I started trying to defend myself or communicate what this massive petition is for, she would immediately start talking over me or mute me. So I am absolutely being targeted by Illinois Circuit 19. I am absolutely being treated differently than any other citizen, even pro se. There was someone pro se in that hearing today, and she spoke to that person with respect. But the moment I start to open my mouth to speak, I am being treated like shit on the bottom of these judges' shoes. And I am so beyond done. This is about my children. This is about their safety and their welfare and their education. My son attempted suicide in Justin's care. My children have a 1.0 GPA for 3 years in Volusia County schools. They are not involved in any activities that children their age should be involved with. They are forced to stay in their rooms and play video games. How do I know this? My son, Charles Serlick, told us this at Palm Terrace Elementary in front of the principal and the counselor, Emily Sweet. That's how we know this. That was a year ago, over a year ago, that Charlie said, we're not allowed to do anything except stay in our room and play video games.
And then as soon as Justin and his family found out that Heather was seeing Charlie at the school, they
obviously called someone at the school board, because ever since then I haven't been able to gain access to him. So that is why Volusia County Schools is absolutely going to be sued in U.S. District Court in Orlando, because no public school has the right to keep one of the parents away from the child unless there is a court order in that state that says that. There is absolutely nothing keeping me from my children. Nothing. There is no legal piece of paper that says that my rights have ever been terminated. There is no orders of protection. There is literally nothing between Illinois or Florida keeping me from my children. So that's where we're at with that. So I obviously took screenshots of this Zoom because she kept muting me. So I went to the Zoom chat, said what I need to say there, and then screenshotted it as evidence, had my computer's date and time. If you are experiencing the same thing I am experiencing in these Zooms where they are violating our rights by either permanently muting me or talking over you, start using that Zoom chat and start screenshotting it or taking photos, because that is absolutely evidence of what these judges are doing to us in these Zooms by abusing us. So that ends. There is a hearing scheduled for September 2nd to deal with the motion to dismiss that Justin Serlick's attorney, who is still not on record, his attorney, on record, he is pro se, until that notice of appearance shows up in the docket. But if it shows up tomorrow with the date of today, I was never served with anything.
Which is funny because this was filed same day.
Yeah. So this is actually from the judge. This will be in my link as well.
The way Illinois works, let me point it out. We found out the attorneys actually write up the orders, send them to the court, and the court just stamps them. But the judge and their staff don't actually write up what happened.
So
they
the attorney's stamp is at the bottom of this.
But if you notice on this one, same law firm, this one indicates that they provided a copy to Heather, except that they actually didn't. We have an email from the attorney saying, we're not going to email you a copy because you have access to the docket. But here is showing...
And that email is screenshotted with the rest of my screenshots for everyone's viewing pleasure. We're not going to bother sending you a copy of the order because we know you have access to your docket. You dumb fuck. I'm literally petitioning for relief because you guys didn't serve me with the 3-page order 3 years ago. The same law firm. What? I don't have stupid written on my forehead. I promise I don't.
The other thing, the crazy part is, right, so he tells the judge today he's going to be filing a motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction. Heather almost wanted, I feel like she wanted to say, exactly, this court didn't have fucking jurisdiction. Sorry for my language.
Yeah, but I very quickly pointed out, you might want to learn Illinois Supreme Court laws because 735 ILCS 1401F literally says I do have jurisdiction to vacate this 3-page order because it's void.
And what it is Illinois Circuit 19 is the court that issued the original order. So for Heather to actually get any full legal vacator of that order, she has to go back to the court that originally issued it. She could go to a Florida court, but all the Florida court can do is deem it void and unenforceable in Florida.
Right.
But if Heather were to move back to Illinois, it's still there. So that's why we're having to go through this.
So let me read this order that showed up in my docket today at 2:55 p.m. It was not emailed and served to me properly at all. This cause coming on before the court for presentation of petitioner's verified petition for relief from void judgment and for declaratory relief based on lack of jurisdiction and due process violations under 735 ILCS, blah, 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 blah. Counsel for respondent, it's not really his counsel if there's no appearance. Counsel for respondent and the petitioner representing herself per se, appearing via Zoom and threatening in open court that I will go after you, and then in brackets, the Honorable Judge Melius and this court, end bracket, in federal court. Let me make this perfectly clear. When I said that, I was directly communicating with Justin's attorney. He's not his attorney until there's a notice filed, but attorney, because this is the same law firm that started this mess. And they absolutely will be served with a 42 USC 1983, 85, and 86. I was not directing that towards Judge Melius, but apparently she took it personally. I hurt her feels.
No, this is just Justin's attorney put that in there because he could. But here's the thing. I hurt her feelings. When you actually look it up, okay, all Heather did officially was essentially put them on notice, and them can be the judge, could be the other attorney, could be the court reporter for all we care. Put them on notice that she is essentially reserving her right to pursue valid legal action against them.
And it's all in the petition,
if her rights are violated.
Maybe if they'd actually read it. I know it's such a hard concept to read.
It is actually protected speech under Illinois law. Mm-hmm. So Heather's going to be filing something. This, more than likely.
Oh, yeah. So let's move to the second.
Now it becomes prejudicial when it's in here.
Yeah. Let's move on. It is hereby ordered. Respondent is granted until August 26th to file his motion to dismiss. The presentment of respondent's motion to dismiss, status on the pleadings, and the setting of hearing dates for respondent's motion to dismiss, and petitioner's verified petition for relief from void judgment, I'm not going to read it all over again, but it's all in there, is set for September 2nd, 2025 at 9 a.m. in courtroom C105 via Zoom. Now, there is an added section to this.
Number 3.
See how it's just 1 and 2?
Different font. And
then the judge's signature over here, off to the side, and not even in the same font, is number 3. So it was very clear it was added after the fact. The parties advise that the court conducts hearings in person. Illinois Circuit 19 ships my children down here August 13th of 2021. Justin has been a legal resident of Florida since 2020. I've been a legal resident of Florida since February 8th, 2022. April 27th, 2022, this law firm pushes this 3-page order to Judge Marnie Slavin and says, sign it via Zoom. We were all down here in Florida. So you're seriously going to tell me that this mess was created April 27th of 2022. All parties were down here in Florida. That hearing happened without me present, without an attorney representing me present, via Zoom. And here I am trying to deal with that exact 3-page order that was signed via Zoom. And they're now ordering me to fly my ass back to Chicago to deal with vacating said 3-page order that was signed via Zoom. What?
Yeah, it's honestly...
It's maddening. Maddening.
Makes you want to stand against a wall and just smack your head.
But, I mean, guys, come on. It is 2 completely different fonts. It's not even the same font.
So it's literally, this is, the attorney submitted the order to
total
the court.
Crap. Exactly, Cara. Total crap.
The judge or the judge's
I'm trying to read
clerk,
through everybody's comments. I'm sorry. I'm being slow to read.
It was either the judge or the clerk for the judge added that as an additional provision before it was signed and filed.
So in one section, number 2, it says via Zoom, right there. And then over here, In person. Okay. So what does that mean? Does that mean September 2nd is still via Zoom? I tried to clarify it on the Zoom and she fucking muted me. Of course, none of my court watchers were present anymore because she kicked them all. So nobody witnessed what was being said.
Yeah, it was very, sitting next to Heather,
Sketchy.
watching the computer screen.
Illegal.
Well,
Corrupt.
Legal versus illegal. We did some extra research this afternoon, and yes, the court. If a court hearing in Illinois is open to the public, it is open to the public. Generally, Illinois Supreme Court law applies across to virtual hearings as well. However, they also give individual judges leeway in their own courts to decide otherwise. So, according to Illinois law, this judge was within her rights to limit the access to the courtroom for people
but
via Zoom.
she purposely
however
passed. She called me and then found out what was going on and then passed me because she didn't want my case to be in front of other attorneys and the public.
If this gets, if anybody can forward this to a civil rights attorney to just run this scenario by them, the judge allows all of these court watchers to be logged in, watch an hour almost worth of proceedings via Zoom, and then when Heather's case is being addressed, every single person who had Heather's case number on their name line was booted out.
Let's discuss this last comment. This type of madness is happening to me in Dane County, Wisconsin, so just above where Waukegan, Illinois is at. Circa 19 is Waukegan, right on the border of Kenosha County, Wisconsin. Ripped my entire family apart, took my adult autistic son away with no evidence, claiming I would harm him, and every judge issues detrimental orders against me, and I am blocked from seeing my son. I worked at the school district as a special education. So, Julie Valadez, she is the county jail in Wisconsin she was held in is not even 40 minutes north of where Waukegan, Illinois courthouse is at. This is definitely a regional problem that seems to also be a widespread national problem, but in different pockets. So it's not like every county, every district of every courthouse in America is doing this, but it's definitely starting to become alarming how much our stories are alike. And the more we talk about our stories on podcasts, on Facebook Live, on streaming services, and communicate with each other as U.S. citizens, the more we are going to find that our stories are identical. And it's terrifying because 1 year ago, still even 1 year ago, I thought I was completely alone. I thought my situation was unique. I thought if I even tried to tell my story to anyone, they would think I was insane and crazy and paranoid or, bipolar, schizophrenic, whatever. It wasn't until November of 2024 that I started really realizing down here in Florida how many of our stories are the same, the exact same. And
scarily the same.
Very much. So I've got people, from New York, your story is identical to mine. I've got people in Wisconsin, your story is identical to mine. I've got someone in Canada, Dale, has a 3-4 page order almost identical to mine, and he's in Canada. I've got people in other countries that have these same 3-page, 4-page void orders that these judges are just signing willy-nilly, not caring about what it's actually doing to the families and to the children. This is an epidemic. This is absolutely an epidemic in our country, and we need a whole overhaul.
Just from what I've seen, and I don't know, some states may have a law that allows this, but the reality is children who were separated from their parents through the family court system, in any manner even halfway close to Heather's case, those children should, when they turn 18, should be allowed to file lawsuits against the individual
they are.
people.
They are. Some of these kids actually are turning 18, 19 and turning around and suing.
Suing the caseworkers, suing the guardian ad litems, suing the judges. Because these family courts are literally doing more harm to more people than anybody can imagine.
So let's pick this apart. So Illinois kidnaps my children October 8th of 2020. I lose any and all contact. They literally take their cell phones away from them, give them back to me, and I had no idea where they were at. I had no idea if they were dead or alive. I had no communication with them whatsoever. They quite literally vanished from my life. Overnight. Vanished. All the while, Justin Serlick, Mary Serlick, and Ira Serlick are allowed to communicate with them the whole time. Okay? I know they were communicating because these fuckers were literally posting photos on their Facebook of them with my kids. So it's not even made up. They're literally posting photos, bragging that they're able to have visits with my kids, and I'm just gone from the picture. So Illinois dumps my children down here. My attorney at the time, Thomas Hunter, says, take your RV, tow it down, follow them down there, become a Florida citizen, and hire a Florida attorney ASAP. I do that. My Florida case, 2023, which means 2023, was open August 7th of 2023. So over 2 years ago now. We're on August 12th of 2025. So my Florida case has been open for over 2 years now. I've gotten nowhere, except now Florida judges, Judge Sandra C. Upchurch and Judge Warren, who's now, Sazia Warren, who's now retired.
Mandated to retire.
Because she turned 75. She's making choices on people's lives at 75 years old. They will not touch it. They will not modify it. They will not give me any sort of time sharing. I still have zero communication with my children whatsoever because Justin has hid them behind this 3-page Illinois order. They will not modify it. They will not touch it. They will not do anything.
When Heather says no communication, I want to be clear. We're not exaggerating. No phone calls, no emails, no text messages. There were some limited messages that came through, but there was no way to verify if they were actually coming from the kids or somebody else. And some of the messages were certainly questionable. Justin and his family sit there and say, oh, they're not hiding. You know where he lives. If Heather drove onto his street, they'd call the police on her.
This was absolutely intentional. Justin Serlick bought a house on a dead-end street. It's not like I can just drive by and see if my kids are outside playing. It's a dead-end street. And the one time, once I did a background check.
That's how you
I had to do a background check to find out where my ex-husband was housing my children. Because he has had me blocked for over 5 years now. So I do a drive-by when I finally get back down to Florida and paid for a background check to find out where he lived. He literally happened to be outside when I'm driving down the road and sees me. So I stop, roll down my window. Hey, Justin, when am I going to be able to see and speak to my children? He starts screaming to my son, Thomas Serlick, to call 911 on me on a dead-end street. So I move, turn around. He then stands in the middle of the road, blocking me from getting out. So that's how that turned out. When I try to go past his house to speak to my children, that's how that turns out. So obviously, I don't feel safe doing that again.
When you found
and I shouldn't have to do that again
and then
to see my children.
When you found out you were legally allowed to see your kids at school, you went to the schools. There were 3 schools. Each one acted very differently.
Mainland High School was where Ariana Serlick and Thomas Serlick were going. She's no longer there. She graduated. Was not privy to her graduation or anything, but there are photos of her wedged in between Mary and Ira Serlick because they stole my children from me, are now acting as their surrogate mother. Sick in the head people that they are. So back to my point with this, Florida will not modify this Illinois order. So thus enters this order in Illinois, because it's an Illinois order. So we're dealing with a motion to dismiss it. So I can't get Florida to deal with it. I've got this barely graduated attorney from Katz, Goldstein, and Warren.
Yeah, when Heather's case started, he didn't even
have his JD yet. He got his JD after my case started in Illinois. So this guy has barely started his career, and I'm going to expose him to the world because he's involved in some very illegal activity with the Serlick family, and he might want to reconsider representing them, because he's going to be included in the 42 USC 1983, 85, and 86. Because I put him on notice today that all of this is illegal. And what is 1986 about? It's about if you knew that something illegal was happening to a US citizen where their rights are being violated and you chose to stay silent, you can be subjected to a 1986. What is a 1985? A 1985 is when 2 or more people conspire to violate your U.S. constitutional rights, your civil rights, your rights to due process, your rights to parent your children, your rights to communicate with your children.
Yes. Your rights to parent your children is actually a constitutional right.
14th Amendment.
So, you know, the reality of
Troxel versus Granville.
The reality of Heather's situation, when she said that there wasn't due process in her case, they have de facto terminated her rights as a mother through a 3-page order that was signed off on, that Heather was given no chance to respond to properly because she wasn't noticed of the hearing or the order in time. And there's been zero remedy in either Illinois or Florida since this all started.
5 years now.
For Heather to have any sort of remedy to be able to see, speak to, hear, and be part of her kids' lives. And have them part of her life.
Here, this photo of my youngest Charlie, he was in pre-K. Actually, no, he wasn't even pre-K yet. He was in preschool, 3 years old. This photo was taken 6 months before he was kidnapped. All of them were kidnapped. So obviously he looks nothing like that now because he was 3. He's now 8. 5 years. Thanks to Justin Serlick, Mary Serlick, and Iris Serlick kidnapping my children via our corrupt judicial system and hiding them from me via our corrupt judicial system.
And I know we've... Heather certainly has talked about, Justin's parents in some videos. I want to make it clear. I know we've talked in some other videos. Justin's parents, at the very least, his mother, and I say this based solely on the emails she has directly sent me, she is pure evil. Okay. She is a nasty human being, pure evil. And there's few people in this world that the world would be better without. She is certainly on that list.
So let's take a look at my 2013 divorce to her son, Justin Serlick. And I want to give you guys some background on why.
I know there's a lot of newer folks that have friended Heather since we probably last brought this up. But Justin's parents were so bad back in 2013 when they filed the original divorce. And mind you, this was an uncontested divorce. It was actually, they literally drove to the courthouse together.
Drove to the courthouse together.
Away from the courthouse together.
Went to the driver's DMV to change my driver's license from Serlick to Bendl. Went to the Social Security office to get my my Social Security card for my maiden name Bendl. Justin Serlick was with me. We went to lunch together. And then we went home together and picked up our children from daycare together. So our divorce was probably the most amicable and respectful divorce ever.
And what was...
And here we are now.
At the time, what was the primary reason for the divorce?
In 2012, while I was out of the country in Costa Rica on a field biology study abroad, Mary and Ira Serlick put in a false claim to Illinois DCFS, trying to get my children taken away while I was out of the country. And I knew about this because Justin managed to finally get a hold of me while I was backcountry hiking up volcanoes and such as a geologist in the field, learning field biology. And he's like, you need to get back ASAP. Like, what are you talking about? So he's like, we need to talk. So he tells me about this. I have to take an emergency flight home from Costa Rica and use my travel insurance to pay for it because emergency flights from out of the country are in the thousands. So that was July of 2012. And it was very apparent that they were using Illinois DCFS to try to steal my children from me. So Justin and I decided to get a divorce. And in that divorce, on page 7, line 7, so I'm hoping maybe this will help make people understand why I've now been dealing with this for the last 5 years. Page 7, line 7 of my 2013 divorce, right here. I know it's backwards, so I'm going to read it. The parties agree that the children shall not have any contact, either in person or by phone, with Mary and Ira Serlick.
So both Heather and Justin agreed that his parents were so caustic that they did not want their kids to have any contact permanently with his parents.
Now, a lot of you may know of this as a permanent termination order protection that has, especially in Texas, been used to terminate parental rights by bypassing the proper channels to terminate. However, this wasn't against a parent. This was against Justin's parents. So it's not like I did a permanent order of protection against Justin. No, Justin had, we had a parenting agreement. He paid child support. I had full custody. He was very much so in their lives. I never, ever, ever would consider doing something like this the last 5 years that he has done to me, to him. In fact, for all of you newbies out there to my story, 2013 divorce, we finalized June 24th of 2023. Justin Serlick was still living in my house with the children and I all the way up to 2020. And that is how all of this started in 2020. Him and Mary Serlick, in front of my children, told me to just kill myself already because no one wants me alive. That was it. I grabbed my kids and I booked it back up to Illinois and separated from him permanently. We sought out a domestic violence shelter, a safe place in Waukegan. And a few months later, my kids are kidnapped. And here we are now, 5 years later. So fast forward 5 years, and here's what I'm dealing with. So page 7, line 7 of my 2013 divorce is very clear that Mary and Ira Serlick are that detrimental to my, Justin's, and our children's health, mental health, that the judge, Patricia Fix of Illinois Circuit 19, signed it. And she's still on the bench to this day. So there's Justin's signature, there's the judge's signature. We were all in agreement that Mary and Ira Serlick were very toxic to us and our children. And that was our way of protecting ourselves. And when I finally told Justin I was no longer going to live with him in 2020, he ran to Mommy and Daddy. Mommy, my ex-wife doesn't want to live with me anymore. What do I do? Oh, it's okay, baby boy. We'll take our kids away from her and you can come live with us. And we'll take care of you and the kids. And we'll just pretend like she's dead. Oh, but she's going to still be your ATM. She's going to support you now. Bitch, I've been supporting your son since 1999. Move on. I'm 44. September 2nd, Justin turns 45. Yes, this next hearing is on his 45th birthday, where his mommy is still managing his legal problems for him by pulling illegal strings behind the scenes with Michael G. Nurheim of Illinois Circuit 19 and all their little buddies down here in Daytona Courthouse because Ira is a volunteer in police services for Port Orange Police Department here in Florida. VIPS, volunteer. He can't even get a real job. He has to volunteer as a cop. He's got to be a rent-a-cop his entire life as a security guard for Abbott Labs, and then transitions in retirement to volunteering in police services down here because that's all he could ever amount to in his life. So glad that they're destroying my children's lives, but yet saying that I'm the problem. So that's where we're at right now, guys. We got Illinois Circuit 19 walking all over my rights still. They don't seem to care that I'm telling them that my children need help. I've got my kids attempting suicide. I've got my kids with a 1.0 GPA. Illinois is treating me like crap, keeping me from the public eye, isolating, secluding me, which is absolutely abuse of power. I've got Florida ignoring me completely. So I'm going to have to take it up a notch and file in Florida Supreme Court next, and then also file my federal cases in regards to Volusia County Schools and all these other bad actors. So that's kind of where we're at. Let me look at the comments here.
Yeah,
why is your ex-husband so toxic against you and your love of your life? Justin Serlick is in a way a victim. I'm going to be honest. I have known Justin Serlick since 15 years old. I'm now 44. He is a victim of Mary and Ira Serlick. They have always been abusive to him, which is why he had no problem signing this page 7, line 7 of our 2013 divorce. Ira, even in our teen years, would call him a dumbass. You know, get away from me, dumbass. So think 70s show, but not like Red. Think like asshole, abusive stepfather saying that to you instead. Mary Serlick has always been a massive control freak, which is why her and I have never gotten along. Because I don't need to be controlled by someone else's mother that I don't like. I don't have to have a relationship with her. I don't want to have a relationship with her. I see how she treats her own son, Justin Serlick. Why would I want any sort of relationship with someone like that? I don't. So that's why she hates me, because I will not allow her to manipulate me, control me, and abuse me. And she hates that. She has to be able to manipulate and control people at all times. That's the type of person she is. She's a narcissist. Justin is the passive son of a narcissist. And when you have that narcissistic mother, and you have that passive, submissive son, it becomes a very unhealthy mother-son relationship. And as someone who is very in tune with psychology, that is absolutely a type of mother-son relationship that is incredibly unhealthy for the son, especially. So why is he toxic? He's been taught to be toxic his entire life. I'm guessing this is the new guy.
Yes.
So Pete's not exactly new. We've been together for over 2 years now. Pete pretty much saved my life down here in Florida. He found me at my lowest point down here in Florida. So he's not new. We've been engaged for a while. I've been with my ex since 15 too, going to be 55. Can't get away from the courts calendar. I'm 40. It's like the generation before us are all narcissistic.
Yep.
Yes. Gen X in particular. It's these baby boomer mothers that are the worst. I can't even tell you how many other Gen X mothers I am aware of that are very, very similar to Mary Serlick's psyche. It is absolutely a baby boomer problem. And Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, it is. It's definitely
That's
interesting.
Actually, with the kids right now, would be from some of what we've gotten, the limited information that we have. The kids are 100%. If they sat down with a psychologist, the psychologist would identify Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
And for anybody who doesn't know what Stockholm syndrome is, that's basically in a hostage situation, the victims who are taken hostage become friendly toward or on the side of the hostage takers.
Yep.
So.
Yep, because of the level of manipulation. I've said it quite a few times before. I will continue to repeat myself. Parental alienation is domestic abuse by proxy. Parental alienation is domestic abuse by proxy. My children are absolutely being alienated. They are being told all sorts of crazy shit, and I know they've been told all sorts of crazy shit because the last time I had a Zoom meeting with Bianca was in December of 2021, so 4 years ago now. So she's 14, so she would have been 10 at the time. Her exact words to me in the Zoom was, Grandma Mary told us that you gave us up for adoption in Illinois, and that's why Dad is now taking care of us. Never in a million years would I ever give my children up for adoption. Never. So that was 4 years ago that she was told that. So God only knows what else they've been told. My youngest, Charlie, we've said this in other episodes, he absolutely knows why he's not able to see me. What did he say in front of the principal and counselor at Palm Terrace?
When we first went to see Charlie at Palm Terrace Elementary, first of all, we didn't even know we were going to be able to see him. We went to have a meeting with the principal and the guidance counselor, and they offered to bring him into the office. So it was the first time they had seen each other it's the first time they'd seen each other in person in a couple years. He very much acknowledged that he knew Dad was the reason why he couldn't see Mom. He also said, he had, and all of us started crying when he said this. He has a suitcase, so he's already, he's ready to be able to come visit Mom.
What I want to know is, in that meeting with Charlie at Palm Terrace last year, when he said he knows that Justin Serlick is the reason he's being kept from me, and then he said, I've got a suitcase ready to go, I want to come stay with you now, that should have absolutely been a huge red flag to Principal Karen Troutman and Counselor Emily Sweet at Palm Terrace Elementary in Volusia County Schools.
That things were not right.
That things were not okay and not right with Dad, and absolutely, as a mandate reporter, should have reported that to Florida DCF immediately. We know that doesn't happen. Volusia County Schools is not mandate reporting the way they are required to by Florida law. This is very concerning. What is, my son turns 18 this year, October 29th of this year, less than 2 months away. And last I was able to see, because they blocked my access to see his attendance and his GPA, but last I was able to see his attendance GPA in Volusia County Schools, he was literally skipping class nonstop, unexcused absences every single day, all classes, with an overall 1.0 GPA. Overall, not just that quarter, not just that year, an overall GPA of 1.0.
Absolutely no way he can graduate.
What is he supposed to do with his life? I ask all of you that. What is my son, Thomas Serlick, supposed to do with his life now? Become a security officer like his step-grandfather? He was a straight-A honor student in 2020. He was incredibly involved in Cub Scouts and then Boy Scouts, Troop 188 in Lakeville, Illinois. He was elected into Order of the Arrow as a first-year scout, which is unheard of. He was 3 steps away from Eagle Scout in 2020.
And I didn't even know.
What is he supposed to do with his life now? Illinois dumped them down in Daytona 4 years ago tomorrow. And he has no life. He has no future. What is he supposed to do? Bianca, my other special needs kid, she cannot read or write. She is completely illiterate. She has not gotten past 28% in reading and writing for 3 years now. She's illiterate. What is she supposed to do?
She had passed a note when Heather was seeing Charlie at school. Bianca's school, Campbell Middle School, blocked Heather and was not allowing Heather to see Bianca. But Bianca was able to pass a note through Charlie.
And her handwriting is worse than Charlie's.
It took 3 of us trying to decipher it. It's bad. And the fact that
how do they recover from what Illinois Circuit 19 did to them? How the hell do they recover from this? How do you recover children losing 5 years of their lives with no education, no support system? He tried to kill himself.
I haven't done this before. I want to speak directly to Justin here for a minute. And anybody out there, I'm sure both me and Heather are blocked, so, feel free to tag Justin Serlick so he sees this video. Justin, you are the one that can stop this insanity and this craziness. Deep down, you are destroying your own children by pushing this. You are... What's the point of all of this, Justin? Really, what is the point? It is time for you to step up, be an actual father, and recognize that all children need both parents. You have let everything become so toxic, and I say that from the way you talk in the court and the way things you have said in the various hearings that I've been part of and how you question me. Heather is never coming back to you, Justin. I want to make that absolutely clear. So you need to get that out of your head, and you need to let the children see and speak to and be part of their mother's life, and let their mother be part of their life. There has to be a massive weight on your heart, Justin. I saw you in person in the court. You don't look good. This is because you are dragging this out. Heather has repeatedly reached out to you to try to come to some sort of an agreement without continuing to drag this through court. It is time to end it, Justin. Step up, be a man, let your children see their mom.
So obviously you guys can see that this is taking over our life. This is consuming us. This is stealing years, not days, not weeks, not months, years from my children. Their future is destroyed. I wanted so much more for my children than what I had. I wanted them to be productive members of society. I wanted them to get an education. I wanted them to be leaders in our country. My daughter Ariana would make an amazing congresswoman. She just graduated. She would make an amazing congresswoman. She could be the leader of the younger generations. And she was set to go down that path, being a Girl Scout national delegate and a scout in BSA. She was competing with Tommy in Troop 188, in Boy Scout Troop 188 in Lakeville, Illinois, to earn merit badges, to rank up. They were literally competing with each other to see who could get to the next rank. They were set to get scholarships from both Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. They had they had straight A's, 4.0 GPA, high honors, National Junior Honor Society. All of that was stolen from them by Illinois Circuit 19.
And Tobias, I see your comment there. The reality is, as you start to see and hear more and more stories, it happens it goes both ways. And the reality is, this is the family court. So Tobias's comment is, just in case people...
I've never seen this from the court towards the mother. This is what fathers normally go through. Yes. However, the women that are going through this, more often than not, if we were to actually start taking a poll, and I think Dave Weigel is trying to do this with his project with his AI software, more often than not, the women that go through this are victims of the man in the relationship, domestic violence victims. And when the women come forward on the abuse, we get shunned, we get outcast, we get removed from our kids' lives because we report abuse. And in my situation, Tommy Serlick and Bianca Serlick in September 2020 reported the physical abuse that Justin Serlick was doing to them too. It's in the police report for the whole world to see. Even with the redactions, you can see where Tommy was saying he threw me in through the wall, I had a bruise at my hip. Even with the redactions, you can see that. Within 2 weeks of my children giving those investigative reports, they were gone. They vanished from my life. So this is what happens when domestic violence victims come forward. We lose our children. And this is why women stay with their abusers, because we know this is what happens and this isn't okay. And the only way to stop this in this country is for us to start building the courage to stand up and say, no, this is not okay. This is not okay to do to men, to do to fathers. This is not okay to do to women, to do to mothers. This isn't okay. If someone is abusing the children, you protect the children. You don't protect the abuser. And that is what happened in my situation. Michael G. Nurheim was the state attorney in 2020 that was supposed to charge my ex-husband, Justin Serlick, with child abuse. And he didn't. Instead, he had Illinois DCFS take my kids, and then he's been calling the shots the last 5 years. How do I know this? I pulled a public record report, and I was able to get my hands on an email where my attorney down here in Florida memorialized in an email that Michael G. Nurheim of Illinois called her on his private cell phone to pass along his private cell phone to Justin Serlick's attorney down here in Florida and the judge. In a UCCJEA situation where that is 100% illegal. There cannot be any ex parte communications in a UCCJEA between multiple states. It all has to be on the record, all of it. Every single email, every single communication, everything has to be on the record and to follow UCCJEA.
That email, even the email written by Heather's attorney and sent to the court, was never docketed officially on the case. So I know we've gotten way deeper than either Heather or me intended to tonight. So I do want to sort of try to end this video on a little bit lighter note. At the beginning, while people were signing on, we talked a little bit about our podcast that me and Heather are both starting. So now that we have a bunch of other people, I want to just bring it up again. So me and Heather, we have all the equipment. We're going to start recording interviews we're each starting our own podcast separate from Heather's live Justice for the Serlick Children podcast, where she's telling her own story. Heather's going to be hosting the Disrupt the Corrupt podcast, which will be available on all podcast platforms. Heather will be it will be a platform to allow other domestic violence victims and family court victims to tell their stories and get their stories on the record, out into public. I will be hosting the Support Isn't Silent podcast, which is going to focus on telling the stories of the people you don't really hear from in the family court system, the silent partners who stand behind and beside their partners who are being victimized and forced through absolute hell in this family court system. So that's going to become available too.
We need to speak up.
So Heather will post all of those links. If anybody is interested in being a guest on either of our podcasts, Heather has the Google form to sign up on her profile, and she will repost it with the notes from this recording as well. But definitely stay tuned. We're gonna to have a little bit lighter. Our next podcast, we're not going to really be discussing the case. We're just going to kind of show off our new podcast studio that we've set up, and just to try to keep things a little bit lighter, because this is hell. It is absolute hell that nobody ever deserves to go through. The way the family court system has metastasized into the cancer that it is now, is just it presents and forces people into such unreasonable situations
that people are killing themselves.
And so one of the few things, the little bit of good that we can bring to this is helping other people get their stories out.
Yep.
So that's what our podcasts are. So we encourage you, if you want to be a guest, again, we'll post the link to sign up. Otherwise, as we start sharing those podcasts, we would greatly appreciate everybody, share them with everybody.
So here's the thing, guys. What we're describing, this has been going on for decades. Probably since the 1960s, maybe even longer than that. Why they've been able to do this to so many families for so long is because we did not have social media.
They've been able to do it in secret.
They've been able to do it in secret. They've been able to hide it behind closed doors. People were too ashamed to talk about their stories, so they just didn't. They suffered in silence. And we're in the age of technology. We've actually been in the age of technology for a very long time. The big difference being streaming services, podcasts, TikTok, Facebook Live, YouTube. All of these streaming services that have taken over technology, and now AI. We've got AI that can assist us in finding the similarities in all of our cases, where all we have to do is put in our information and the AI will say, yep, this case all has due process violations, this case all has gag orders, unconstitutional gag orders, and we can start using this technology to start connecting with each other across the nation and across the globe. So the time is now. As we are connecting with each other and as we are comparing notes and saying, holy shit, that's my story. Holy crap, that's my story. We can now start sharing our stories across all the platforms. And I am new to it. I've only been on Facebook and LinkedIn since MySpace disappeared. So I'm newer to all the other social medias like TikTok. I actually took some social media classes in my MBA just so I could help get my own story out and learn how to use these platforms, because I've never really been too big on the streaming services until now. So how can we expose all this? We need to have the courage to come forward, tell our story. We need to network with everyone across the nation in the various Facebook groups. It's all over the place. We now have national movements that have been picking up momentum since the beginning of this year. We've got another national protest coming up, September 7th, 8th, and 9th, I believe. We have to continue to do these protests. We have to continue to look out for each other, court watch, document what you're seeing, what you're not seeing. If you're getting kicked from a certain case, if you continue to court watch other cases in that same circuit, like Circuit 19 or Florida Circuit 7, we can now start to zone in on what bad actors don't want court watchers. Because odds are, if they don't want court watchers, it's because they're doing illegal things. And they don't want us to see the illegal things, which is exactly why they passed my case today until everyone else was out of that Zoom and kicked all my court watchers out, and then called my case back up, and then proceeded to talk over me the whole time, mute me, and then allow an attorney that didn't even have an appearance on file speak on Justin Serlick's behalf and set a court date while I was permanently muted and couldn't object. It was my case.
The last
I should have been able to set the court date,
last
not
person
him.
that joined there. If it's my buddy Sean, I see you there. I know we've said a lot of stuff about attorneys. Sean, we're not talking about you. I know you don't work in family law.
Yeah, this big national issue is applicable to family law. That's the big difference between family law and everything else. Everything else, we've got a court reporter, we've got open courtrooms, we've got documentation, we've got hearing notes. None of that exists in family court. It is all under the table.
It's really the Wild West.
It really is.
It's insane. And I say that I was so naive coming into this, but as I've for 2 years now been by Heather's side, some of the stuff I've seen and other stories I've heard is just insane. So we're gonna, I think, sign off on that note. We do appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate all the comments. I know Heather's going to read through all the comments.
Yeah, a lot of them were going a little too fast. I apologize.
To anybody that she can that needs a response. Otherwise, stay tuned for our upcoming podcasts.
Keep your courage up. Do not be afraid to speak up, because that is how they have been allowed and able to do this for so many decades to so many families. Everyone has been too scared to speak up. We can't be scared of these people. They do not have the power they think they have over us. They do not have jurisdiction over us. We are humans. We are living beings. We are not pieces of paper that they can just shuffle around on their desk and say, nope, yup, nope, yup. We are humans. They are violating our human rights. And we need to speak up, because it's the only way we're going to put a stop to this and make real changes. Get your legislatures involved. Share each other's stories. Tell each other's stories. And just know that you're not alone. We can make real changes, but we have to do it as a nation. We have to do it as a whole. And we have to unite, and we have to fight this together. So thank you for listening to me. I appreciate every one of you that are supporting me and Pete and everyone else that is going through this, because this is pure hell. This is why people are killing themselves. Because a human can only take so much torture, separation from their children, before they just decide to put an end to the pain. And if I can save one person from ending their life by telling my story, I've saved one person. So just know that you're not alone. We are all going through this hell together, and we all need to stand up shoulder to shoulder and say, enough is enough. You need to stop hurting us. This is not helping our nation. This is hurting our nation. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.